him. I love Tiny. Thanks, guys. Fox News alert, everyone. The most dramatic sign yet of just how bad the budget crisis is getting in some states across the country. As the Wisconsin legislature meets in special session right now, the governor says he is ready to call out the National Guard in his war with the state unions. Welcome to America Live. I'm Megyn Kelly. This is a stunning story. Newly elected Governor Scott Walker is trying to fill a $3.5 billion budget hole this week without raising taxes. In order to do that, he is going further than any other governor when it comes to challenging state workers. And he is now saying that he is ready to mobilize National Guard troops. He's already reached out to them to give them the heads up, if he needs to deal with the fallout from those union workers. Trace Gallagher live from our West Coast newsroom on this is just, is it unprecedented? I think it's unprecedented.
It is indeed, Megyn, and keep in mind the state of Wisconsin has 175,000 public employees, and experts say most of them are going to be very angry if this passes. Now, keep in mind, even Republicans who support this are saying this may set off a firestorm at the state capitol, which is why the governor, Scott Walker, says he is willing to mobilize the National Guard for, and I'm quoting here, whatever repercussions arise. The governor is planning to take away nearly all collective bargaining rights beginning on July 1st, which means that salaries would be frozen. You'd only have cost of living increases. Any other increases would have to be voted on. The contracts would last only 1 year. Public employers could no longer collect union dues, but public workers would have to contribute 5.8% of their salary to their pension fund, 12.6% of their salary to health care costs. Here is Governor Walker. Listen.
What we're doing is eliminating the requirement that governments at the state and local level have to collect dues. I'd much rather make these sorts of modest changes than lay thousands upon thousands of state and local government employees off.
Here's the context. Wisconsin has had collective bargaining now for more than 50 years, and the Democrats in the state, their hands are pretty much tied because the Republicans control both the state assembly and the state senate by pretty fair margins. Here now is a public employee weighing in. Listen.
The purpose of the governor's budget repair bill is to destroy labor unions and the freedom of collective bargaining, not just for the public employees, for all workers in the state.
We should note that cops and firefighters, Megyn, are exempt from this bill. As you mentioned, the overall budget deficit for Wisconsin, $3.5 billion.
And the accusation is that that is payback to those cops and firefighters who got behind this governor in his race for the State House, which is what has so many of the other workers, the union workers who are being affected, ticked off and claiming this is political payback by the governor to those unions, but not to their unions, who have now been shut down when it comes to collective bargaining. I mean, this is quite a unilateral action. He's got to get the support of the legislature, but as you point out, it's GOP controlled. Coming up top of the next hour, Trace, we will be joined by a top Democrat from the state who is not happy about the governor's plan. Also, we'll have some late-breaking details about what we've learned about his plan and what it means for the unions and whether this could happen in other states sometime soon. Got a Fox News alert for you now because we are getting brand new reaction to what could be the most dramatic budget standoff we have seen to date. Welcome, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. The Wisconsin State Legislature meeting in special session right now as Governor Scott Walker tries to close a $3.5 billion budget gap without raising taxes. Instead, he is targeting union powers to negotiate certain benefits, basically shutting down the ability to collective bargain. Now, he's putting the National Guard of Wisconsin on alert for any state core service disruptions, i.e. prison staffers who decide if we can't engage in collective bargaining, we're going to walk off the job. And there has been talk of strikes. Democrat Peter Barca is the minority leader in the Wisconsin State Assembly. He's also a former U.S. congressman, and he says calling this a power grab is an understatement. Sir, thank you so much for being here with us. You know, we've been seeing this play out in many states where you're in the red big time, and you've got more and more governors who are saying, look, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. We've heard Chris Christie in New Jersey saying this. And what your governor in Wisconsin says is, I don't have anything to negotiate with the unions. He says, we're broke. The truth is, we don't have any money to offer. So what choice did I have? And to him, you say what?
Well, I say that just 2 years ago, we faced a budget deficit almost twice as large, and we found a way to close the gap without permanently ending virtually all collective bargaining rights for employees. You know, Wisconsin has a proud history, and Wisconsin values are that governors of both parties have the courage to sit across the table with their employees and negotiate in good faith. And that's what we would expect him to do.
And he basically says that would be a farce, though. You know, that he'd be just going through the motions because he has nothing that he can offer to those unions. He can't give raises. He has to have them start contributing to their own health plans and their own pension plans, just like those in the private sector do. And he says that's just a reality of your state right now.
Well, Megan, ironically, we had a contract that just came forward where that's exactly what was in the contract, was give-backs on health insurance, give-backs on retirement. Employees understand and they're willing to engage in shared sacrifice. It's one thing to try and deal with a fiscal mess, but it's another thing to permanently, in 6 days no less, and 50 years of proud labor history in a state where collective bargaining started for municipal workers.
The governor's response has been if he doesn't do this, that he's going to have to lay off 6,000 state employees and remove more than 200,000 children from the Medicaid program. You know, when you phrase it like that, it makes you understand something needs to be done.
Not true. The governor states that, but that's not the case. As I indicated, just 2 short years ago, we faced a budget deficit far more significant than this. And we found solutions without resorting to those kind of draconian actions.
Did you raise taxes?
We closed loopholes in a couple different key categories.
I mean, so that's a yes, because this governor, he's got a different approach, right? He's a Republican. He doesn't want to raise the taxes. Instead, he wants to sort of level the playing field, as he put it, between some of the public sector union employees and those in the private sector. And he said, you know, I'm not going to hit the taxpayers with a tax hike. I'm going to make these unions pay some money towards their own health care and pay some money towards their own pensions.
And they're not arguing with that. In fact, they've agreed to do that. The issue is not about benefits at this point. It's about basic rights. It's about basic rights as working people.
But the point of shutting down the collective bargaining,
what
are they going to collectively bargain over if it's not going to be their money, their salary, and their benefits, like pensions and health care?
Well, there's also working conditions, Megan. I mean, nurses who work in hospitals have, you know, safety issues that they confront. EMTs, teachers who teach our children have ideas about curriculum and improving student performance. Those are things historically we always bargained about, and that's what he's trying to end. And the point is if he had said, let's shut this down for 2 years or 4 years till we're in a better fiscal position, perhaps people could understand it. But we have tens of thousands of people protesting in our capital today because that's not what he did. Instead, he's permanently ending 50 years of sitting across the table and collectively bargaining, not just on wages and benefits, but on working conditions as well.
Now, this has to go through the state assembly. I mean, he can't just do this unilaterally. He's asking for those state lawmakers to pass this, but do you think it will? Because, you know, he's got the Republicans in control there.
Well, correct. He does have to pass it, but unlike Governor Kasich in Ohio or Governor Christie in New Jersey, who offered a regular bill, going through the process, they've had hearings over a period of time, he's trying to ram this through the legislature in 6 days. Unprecedented. I've been involved in politics for nearly 30 years. I've never seen anything like it, and neither of any of the other veteran press reporters covering the Capitol.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking about it, sir. We extended an invitation to the governor and his office. They declined, so we're very glad to have your perspective. All the best to you.
Thank you, Megan. Appreciate the opportunity.